All right, let's talk about a huge gamble. We're talking about ambition, risk, and just a mountain of diamonds. We're going to look at Angola and how this one country is making a massive play to basically take over the global market. Now this move, it could be absolutely brilliant, or it could just blow up in their faces.
So what's the big deal? Well, Angola's diamond industry is just exploding right now. Last year, they didn't just hit their production goals, they completely smashed them. But here's the thing. This huge surge is creating this really weird economic puzzle. And believe me, it's not as simple as dig more diamonds, make more money.
And that really gets us to the core question here, right? Is a bigger pile of diamonds always a better one? I mean, think about it. When you suddenly flood the market with anything, even something as precious as diamonds, what do you think happens to the price? That's the puzzle we're going to unpack.
Okay, so before we get into that weird paradox I mentioned, we've got to grasp just how huge Angola's plan is. Let's call it their diamond ambition.
Check out this number. This is the big one, straight from the Angolan government. They want to be pumping out 17.5 million carats of diamonds every single year. Let that sink in. To give you some perspective, that's like 3.5 tons of diamonds every year. It's just wild.
And you know, this isn't just some fantasy number they pulled out of thin air. This goal is built on something they've already done. Just last year, they hit a record 14 million carats. So they've proven they can do it, and now they're basically flooring the gas pedal.
And producing this many diamonds, it puts Angola right up there in the big leagues. We're talking about the world's #3 producer of rough diamonds. The only countries ahead of them are the absolute giants, Russia and Botswana.
So you're probably wondering, where are all these millions of carats actually coming from? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look at the massive mines that are doing all the heavy lifting. The main name you need to know is Endiama. This is the state-owned company that's basically in charge of everything, all the diamond resources, all the strategy. Whenever you hear about Angola's big plans for diamonds, you can bet Endiama is the one pulling the strings. And a massive chunk of this whole expansion comes from one single place, the Luele mine. Just look at the scale of this thing. It's huge. What's crazy is it only just opened in 2023, but it's already a total powerhouse for the country's diamond production.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. Look how concentrated the production is. That brand new Luele mine plus its gigantic neighbor Catoca, together those two mines account for more than 90% of all the diamonds coming out of the entire country. That's insane. So the takeaway here is simple. Whatever happens at these two mines happens to Angola's entire diamond industry.
All right, so record production, big money coming in. Sounds like a perfect story, right? Everything's great. But if you look just a little bit closer at the numbers, something really weird starts to pop up. This is the paradox I was talking about.
So let's start with the good news, at least for Angola. Their total revenue from diamonds shot up by 21% last year. That's a jump from about $1.5 billion to $1.8 billion. You sell more diamonds, you make more money. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, maybe not.
Because, get this, at the exact same time their revenue was going up, the price they were getting for each individual diamond plummeted. It dropped by almost 29%, from an average of $143 a carat all the way down to just $102.
So there it is. That's the paradox. They sold more diamonds, they made more money, but each diamond was worth less. How does that even work? It feels like it breaks the basic rules of economics. So what in the world is going on?
Okay, the answer is actually pretty simple, but the strategy behind it is really clever. Angola made a call. See, global diamond prices were getting a bit soft. You know, the economy in China was slowing down, you've got lab-grown diamonds becoming more popular. So instead of waiting around for prices to maybe go back up, they just decided to sell off a bunch of their existing stockpiles. They chose cash now over a better price, maybe later. So that whole move to sell off their inventory, that's a really interesting short-term play. But it's just one tiny piece of a much, much bigger game. To really get what's at stake here, we need to look at the absolutely insane amount of treasure that Angola is still sitting on.
Everything we've just talked about, the record production, the huge new mines, selling off the stockpiles, that's not the whole story. Not even close. It's really just the first chapter of Angola's massive long-term plan to cash in on its unbelievable natural resources.
So, how much are we talking about? Well, according to Endiama's own numbers, Angola is sitting on an untapped diamond reserve of 732 million carats. That number is just staggering. To put that into perspective for you, that's enough to supply the entire world's demand for diamonds for years. And the dollar value of all that, the estimate is over $140 billion. So this isn't just about an industry, This is a national treasure chest, the kind of wealth that could completely change the country's economy for generations.
And that brings us to the final big question. When you have one country holding this much power and this many diamonds, and they decide to just crank up production and sell aggressively, well, that doesn't just affect them. It sends shockwaves through the entire global market. So the real question isn't just, what's Angola's next move? It's, how is the rest of the world going to respond?